Hey there, welcome to this series on JavaScript Mastery. Yes, you heard this right. This is a complete tutorial or a full course on JavaScript where we learn everything that you need to know today about this programming language. So before we directly jump into the topic and we start learning JavaScript, there are a few important things that I want to talk to you about. Number one thing is, like all my other courses, this is also a hands-on course, which means there is very limited or less use of PowerPoint presentations, but I actually prefer teaching by writing code in the IDE because I believe as a developer, hands-on learning is the best learning that you can have today. Point number two, this course is project based, which means whatever you are learning, you are also going to implement that learning into projects. So yes, we will be building projects as we go through the entire series. Point number three, this course is not just about one video, but there are going to be multiple videos in this particular playlist that you can watch. So this is the first video that I'm uploading and I'm planning to stick to a schedule of 3 videos per week. Okay, this might change depending on the bandwidth I have, but the target that I've set for myself is 3 videos per week. So you will be seeing 3 videos at least every week on the channel in this particular series. So be sure to follow the playlist. Point number 4, there is absolutely no fees in enrolling or taking this course. So what I would want you to do right now is comment below and let me know if you have enrolled and if you are following this particular series. If you have enrolled, just mention in the comment that I have enrolled into the course. Like more and more enrollments I get, more and more comments I get, that will motivate me to upload more and more videos into this series sooner. Alright, so be sure to leave a comment, and goes without saying, yes, if you have not liked, subscribe to this channel, be sure to do so, because there's a lot coming on this channel. After JavaScript, I'm planning to cover React as well. So the series will transition into React. So after learning JavaScript, you can start building applications using React as well. All right, so without a further ado, let's jump right in. So now it's time that we start talking about JavaScript. Now, whenever you talk about web development, there are 3 things that you should be aware of what they are. Okay. So first is HTML, then you have CSS, and then it comes JavaScript. Now, if you go to any website, so here I'm on embarkx.com. Okay. I keep updating this website. So if you are visiting here at a point where I have already updated it, you might see something else. Okay. But right now, just to demonstrate, I have visited this website of mine. And here, if you do right click and if you say inspect, okay, you're going to see this code over here. Now, this code that you're seeing here on the left hand side, okay, this is nothing but HTML. Okay. And then here on the right hand side, you have this code, which is CSS. Okay, and then you have something called as JavaScript as well that brings in a lot of life into whatever you're building in the web pages. So you can think of HTML as the skeleton. So it does the job of structuring the web page. Just like bones give structure to our body, HTML does the same thing to the web pages. It gives the structure. So here, if you see, here you can see different elements, like there is div, header, okay, this div. Okay, so you are actually structuring this web page as to what all elements you want to have. Okay, then after structuring this would look really raw. So it's important that you beautify this, right? It should look decent. Then comes CSS. So you add different elements over here, or different properties over here, I should say, which define the style of the web page. And this is like making it visually appealing. So if you are wearing clothes and applying makeup or grooming yourself, that's what CSS is doing to your web page, right? Because with the help of grooming, wearing clothes, wearing decent clothes, nice clothes, you are controlling your appearance, right? So that is what CSS will do to HTML or any sort of web pages if they are applied. And then you have behavior. Okay, so you have brain and muscles using which you bring in behavior to your body or to your life, right? So in a similar way, you have JavaScript, which will add life to your website. Okay, so what should happen? Is there any sort of interactivity or any sort of alert that you want to show on this button click? Or if there is a form, on click on submit, do you want to submit the form and all of that? So all the validations, all of the interactive elements is controlled by JavaScript. Okay, so you can think of JavaScript as a language that enables you to make your web page more dynamic. Okay, so that's what JavaScript is. Now, if I have to talk about the fundamentals of the web, okay, if you see, this is a tag over here. Okay, this is a tag, a p tag, which is paragraph, and this is used to add a text onto a web page. Okay, so I've added this text. What a wonderful web page. Now, if I want to add CSS, I'll make use of this selector over here, which is p, and I'll say that color should be blue. So this particular thing will be shown in blue color. That is what this says. Now you can have multiple. You can add multiple things over here, like color, text color, background color, any sort of padding you want to add, margins you want to add, all of that, border, radius, all of that you can control from here, which is CSS. Like I said, it is used to beautify your web pages. Okay. Now, if you go to the Wikipedia article, okay, you'll see that this language, JavaScript, is being termed as a programming language. Now it is called as programming language instead of a scripting language because it has added a lot of capabilities in the past years. Okay, so what happens is JavaScript by default runs in the browser. So you don't need to add any sort of special abilities into your browser to get JavaScript to run. Okay, JavaScript has this ability inbuilt because of an engine called as V8 engine. Now, what is V8 engine? V8 engine is an engine that enables JavaScript to execute in the browser. And this engine is embedded in the browser. So if I'm talking about Chrome, Chrome has V8 engine. There is one more engine which allows the execution of JavaScript. It's called SpiderMonkey. Okay. And this is being used by Firefox. Okay. You can see. Okay. It is used in Firefox web browser. And V8 engine is being used in Chrome. Okay, it's developed by Google. All right. So yeah, these are the two JavaScript engines that are responsible or allow us to execute JavaScript in the browser. Now I have this article from Radic Web open over here. Okay, and if you scroll down over here, you'll see the usage statistics of JavaScript over here, not by. Okay, so this is statistics by radixweb.com, and you can see JavaScript is being used by 98.7% of the websites. And if you come over here to the Wikipedia article, you'll also see 99%. Okay, you can see over here, this is even higher, the Wikipedia one. 99% of the websites use JavaScript on the client side for web page behavior. Okay, and this is because you can do a lot in JavaScript. You can add interactions to your web page. You can show a message on the click of a button. Okay, and today there have been a lot of enhancements into the world of JavaScript because you can even write server-side code. So you can build server-side web applications. You can build mobile applications which can run actually on our mobile devices. You can even build interactive games. Okay, and I'm also going to show all of this to you. Okay, so here, if you head over to Google Forms, or if you have used Google Forms at any time or any sort of form, okay, that runs in the browser, you will see there are a lot of interactive things. For example, in Google Forms, you can dynamically add elements. Okay, if you have created Google Form, it allows you to add the form fields, okay, dynamically. And all of this is possible with the help of JavaScript. Okay, it allows you to analyze the responses with summaries. Okay, it allows you to validations, like it allows you to add validations. So all of that is being done with the help of JavaScript. Okay, if you come over here to Unsplash, and if you see the way images are being loaded, like image loading is pretty fast over here. That is also because of JavaScript. The way it's being displayed, the way it's being opened into a pop-up, all of this is JavaScript. Okay, if you come over here to play 2048.co, okay, you will see this JavaScript based games, and you can play it with the help of arrow keys. You can see I'm like pressing the arrow keys, and you can play it with the help of arrow keys, and you can see the interactions that it's showcasing into the browser. Okay, so this is an example of a game that has been built in JavaScript or using JavaScript. Now over here you can see this Flappy Bird game. Okay, this is of course one of the popular game concepts. This is also built using JavaScript over here, and it's running in the browser. All right, so that is the power of JavaScript, and that's what it brings to the table. Also, if you have heard of React Native, okay, React Native is used to create mobile applications using JavaScript. So here you can see there are a lot of popular applications like Facebook uses React Native heavily. You can see Facebook ads, okay, Messenger desktop. If you scroll down, you have Microsoft also in the league, which is using Microsoft Office, Microsoft Outlook, Amazon. So all of these applications are making use of React Native. Okay, so you can see it's already there, and a lot is happening over here in the world of JavaScript. Okay, now when we are talking about JavaScript, it's important to understand some important tools and technologies that extend the native abilities of JavaScript. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is Node.js. Now, what is Node.js? So if you've heard of JavaScript, you also would have heard of Node.js. So Node.js is nothing but a runtime environment that allows you to run JavaScript on the server side. Okay, so this is the official website, nodejs.org, and it allows you to run. It's actually an environment. It gives you an environment that allows you to run JS. Okay, and JS means short form of JavaScript. So here, if you go to the Wikipedia article of Node, and if you scroll down, okay, so let me tell you how Node.js was conceptualized. So initially, what happened is JavaScript used to only run in web browsers. Okay, so if you have to write any sort of any sort of scripting in JavaScript, you have to make use of browser to execute that. Okay, and now what happened is Ryan Dahl in 2009, what he did is, I told you, JavaScript is executed because of this engine, V8 engine and SpiderMonkey. So it's already embedded in modern web browsers, and it does the job of executing JavaScript into the browser. So what this smart guy did is he took that engine and he essentially added this V8 engine, okay, which Google is using or Google has created essentially. So he added this V8 engine into a C++ program to create Node.js. Okay, now by embedding V8 engine, which was originally designed to run JavaScript in the Google Chrome browser, okay, he embedded that into C++ environment and he enabled JavaScript to be executed outside of the web browser. Okay, and this thing is called as Node.js. Okay, so Node.js is actually having V8 engine in the hindsight, which is allowing you to execute JavaScript anywhere. Okay, now because Ryan he just bought the V8 engine out of browsers, okay, this integration allowed JavaScript to interact with systems, file systems, networks, and also other resources directly through Node.js. Okay, so earlier where you had browser doing all of this, you needed browser to do all of this. Okay, so now what happens is with the help of Node.js, you can run JavaScript anywhere. Okay, and you can even make use of JavaScript to do server-side programming. So this combination of V8 engine and Node.js runtime environment provided a strong foundation for building scalable and high-performance server-side projects using JavaScript. Okay, so that's some history about Node.js and how it came into picture. Okay, so you can see over here in the Wikipedia article, Node.js represents a JavaScript everywhere paradigm. So earlier, it was just in the browser. You can see Node.js is a V8 JavaScript engine and executes JavaScript code outside web browser. Okay, so this is what Node.js is. So if you want to run Node.js onto your system, you can download Node.js, you can boot up a server, and you can run JavaScript onto your local machine. You can even do server-side programming like I said. All right. Now, when we talk about server-side programming, okay, first thing that hits into your mind would be APIs, right? So let's talk about Express.js. So Express.js is a web application framework for Node.js. Okay, it's a framework. So Node.js is an environment that allows you to run JavaScript. Express.js is a framework for Node.js, and it simplifies building web servers, APIs by providing the set of tools and features that make handling requests and responses easier. Okay, so that's what Express.js is. Then you have React. So React, of course, if you are here to learn about JavaScript, you must have heard of ReactJS. So it's also a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. Okay, so it's quite popular if you want to build single page web applications, and it allows you to create reusable UI components that you can reuse again and again. Okay, so this is the official website of ReactJS. Okay, and you'll also find some demos over here that talk about why you should make use of ReactJS. Okay, so the point over here I'm trying to make is this is also a library of JavaScript. Okay, then you have something called as React Native. Now, what is React Native? React Native is a framework that allows you to build mobile applications using JavaScript and React. It enables you to create apps that work on iOS and Android both with a single code base. So you have to write the code once, you have to create the app once, and then you can deploy it on both Android App Store as well as Apple App Store. Both the app stores you can deploy it over there. Okay, so it's basically write once and run everywhere. You can see over here, create native apps for Android, iOS, and more using React. Okay, now what is React? It's JavaScript based, right? So basically it's JavaScript everywhere. And if you go to showcase, this is where you'll see the list of apps that are making use of React Native. Okay, so yeah, that's about JavaScript and its importance in today's world. Okay, I hope this gave you some good insights that that will motivate you to learn more about JavaScript and all the other technologies that exist in the world of JavaScript. So now what we are going to do is we are going to see JavaScript in action. So what I would recommend is open the browser of your choice. I'm here on Google Chrome. You can even make use of Firefox if you wish to. Just right click, head over to inspect, and here you will have an option to open up the console. Okay, you can resize this the way you want. Now, this console is the browser console, which is inbuilt, and here is where we can execute our JavaScript statements. So of course, the first statement that we are going to execute over here is console.log. You can see the auto suggest, and I'm going to say hello world. Okay, something like this. Okay, I'll make W caps, and over here I'm going to press enter. You can see hello world is being printed onto the console. Okay, so if you want to print anything to the console, you can make use of this statement console.log, and it's a part of JavaScript. We can even print more over here. So I can say console.log, and I can say I love JavaScript. Okay, something like this. So this will give me this output, which is I love. Okay, I should have closed it with a single quote, and you'll see the output I love JavaScript. Okay, so I opened it with single quote and tried to close it with double quote. That's why the error. Okay, but the statement works absolutely fine. I love JavaScript. Okay, you can even make use of this console as a calculator. So you can say 2 plus 4, and you'll see 6 as the output. 16 plus 16, you'll see 32 as the output. So it can be used as a calculator. You can even make use of the console to show alert boxes or pop-up boxes. And you must have seen a lot of alert box, pop-up boxes when making use of these web applications. So let me show you how you can trigger that. I'll first clear my browser console using this clear function. Okay, everything is cleared. Or you can even right click and say clear console. Okay, that should also do the job. Now over here, I'm going to bring in a alert box. So I can say alert over here. Okay, and I can say this is a alert box. Okay, now I need to close this, and if I press enter, you'll see this is a alert box. Now whatever message you type in or whatever message you add in over here, this is a new alert box. Let me say, okay, or let me make new in caps. Okay, you will see this come in as is over here in the pop. Okay, so whatever message you're passing in over here is coming in over here. So yeah, that's how you can run some JavaScript code into your web browser. And these were some of the JavaScript statements that we have. Hey there everyone. So to run JavaScript, we are going to do some setup on our local machine. All right. Now, of course, you can run JavaScript by right clicking like this in the browser and heading over to the console and writing JavaScript statements over here. But this is not ideal if you want to write long, large scripts for production grade web applications. Now, this is where you need a setup on your local machine. So what we are going to do is we are going to make use of an IDE. If you're not aware of this term IDE, it stands for Integrated Development Environment, which gives you the set of tools to write code and execute it. So I'm going to search for Visual Studio Code because that is what we are going to make use of. Now, if you have Visual Studio Code installed already onto your system, or if you're aware how to install it, well and good. But I'm going to assume that you don't have it installed onto your system to benefit the students who are not aware of this process. So I'm going to head over to this particular website, code.visualstudio.com. Okay, a little bit of zoom in. Now here, the screenshot that you see is how Visual Studio Code looks like. Okay, and you can see there is a syntax highlighting, you can see. So interface is being highlighted in a different color. Button props is being highlighted in a different color. So these are all the benefits of the IDE. Okay, you can see the nice folder structure on the left hand side. There's a terminal below with all the color coding and all of that. It offers a lot of benefits to the developers. So if you scroll down, you can see Visual Studio Code supports, as I'm recording this video, it supports so many programming languages. Okay, you can even add extensions. Now, what are extensions? Extensions basically extend the ability that Visual Studio Code has by default into it. Okay, so if you want to add some support for Python, okay, some more support for Python, so you can add this extension. If you want to add support for GitHub Copilot, or you want to make use of AI while programming, you can add GitHub Copilot, C, C++. You can see there are tons of extensions, and there's an extension marketplace from where you can download and install all of this, and it's free. Now you can see GitHub Copilot, a little bit of, so it's all highlighting different features. You can customize the color themes, settings, profiles. There are a lot of stuff. Okay, it has really good integration with version control system and all of that. Okay, so you can take a look at this website and you can browse through as to what all it has to offer. But if you scroll up at the top, here you're going to see this download for Windows button. Okay, now if you're on Mac or Linux, you're going to see the download option for your appropriate operating system. Or if you're not seeing for some reason, you can go to other platforms and you can see what all platforms are supported over here. Okay, so I already have Visual Studio Code installed onto my system, so I'm not going to install it, but the installation is very straightforward. It's like any application that you install on the system. There's no complex configuration that you have to do. Even for Mac, it's easier. And you can see over here, there are multiple versions. Like if you're making use of Intel chip, you can install this one. Apple Silicon, you have this one over here. And also for Linux, Ubuntu based systems over here, you have option to download and install. Okay, now I definitely have this installed onto my system. Okay, so here I have it installed, as you can see. Okay, so if you install it and open it for the first time, this is what you're going to see. This is how it's going to showcase you. Your view might differ a little bit because I'm already a Visual Studio Code user, so I'm seeing the recent projects that I've used. So I'll just close this. Okay, and here it's asking me that, hey, you have not opened any folder yet. So yes, you can open folders here into the left sidebar, and it is going to show you the tree structure. You can create files and manage it from here itself, or you can even clone a repository. And like I said, it has a really good integration with Git or version control systems, so you can make use of that as well. All right, now what I would request you all to do is just head over to your folder structure and create a folder when you are going to practice JavaScript. Okay, so this is my folder where I'm going to practice JavaScript. Okay, and just open this folder over here in Visual Studio Code. Now to open the folder, you can say open folder and you can navigate to the folder that you have just created. Or alternatively, here on Windows, you have an option. You can right click, you can say show more option, and you can say open with Visual Studio Code over here, open with code over here. This is what it is. So this is Visual Studio, which is not Visual Studio Code. It's different. So you have to take a look at this logo. Okay, this one. Okay, and if you say open, you'll see the folder open up over here. Okay, just maximize it. Okay, you can see now I have two instances or two windows of Visual Studio Code over here. Okay, this is my folder that I had created called JavaScript, and this is where I'm going to create all my JavaScript related files and everything that I'm going to learn about. So that's about it. I hope you have been able to do this setup successfully onto your system as well. Now, I think I should address this. I believe a lot of learners will have this question that, hey, why are you making us or getting us to install a new IDE, which is Visual Studio Code for web development? Why can't I use something that I have already been using and I'm comfortable with? Well, there's a very good reason for that. Now, most of the Java developers or a lot of developers make use of JetBrains products, right? So if you're a Java developer, you will be making use of IntelliJ. If you're a Python developer, you would be using PyCharm as well. All right. Now what happens is if you come over here, let me show you IntelliJ IDEA. I'll open this in a new tab. It has a really good support for Java. Okay. And it's one of my favorite IDEs out there. All right. But if you go to features overview, you'll see list of all the features. Okay. Everything that IntelliJ has to offer. Now here on the left hand side, you have an option called web development. So these are all web development related features. Okay. Now if you come over here, you'll see that, hey, you can see it supports TypeScript. You can see it supports Vue. You can see it supports JavaScript over here. Okay. So it's supporting HTML, CSS. Why are you asking us to set up a new IDE? So if you select Community Edition over here, and if you go to web development again, you'll see all those features are disabled. Okay. Now, what is Community Edition? Okay. So if you go to pricing, so I'll open pricing in a new tab. If you have access to IntelliJ IDEA Ultimate, well and good. Okay. It's a paid version. If you have access to that, you can make use of it for web development. Okay. Now, if you don't have access to the paid version of IntelliJ, okay, if I select individual use, okay, then it's likely that you're making use of IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition, which is a free version, right? It's a free version of IntelliJ IDEA, which does not have these features that get grayed out when you select Community Edition. You can see. So if you have free version, it's likely that you don't have access to these features. All right. And that is why I recommended Visual Studio Code, because when you talk about web development, the front end development, a lot of developers, almost all I have seen around me, make use of Visual Studio Code. And there's a very good reason for that. It has really good community, a lot of extensions. And you can see over here, it's free, built on open source, and it runs everywhere on any sort of operating system. Okay. So it's pretty good. And it's also a Microsoft backed product. Okay. And it comes in with a lot of features. So that is why I recommend Visual Studio Code always. And I personally use Visual Studio Code for web development. Like whenever I have to write HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or any sort of front end, I make use of Visual Studio Code, even for React. Okay. So yeah, that's the reasoning behind why not IntelliJ or why not PyCharm. So if you're a Python developer, then if you come over here, okay, on the JetBrains website, if I go to jetbrains.com, if you scroll down, you have PyCharm over here. And in the same way, if you go to features over here, okay, you can see, okay, they don't have web development option over here. They don't have web development option. Okay, the UI is a little bit different over here. But if you go to pricing over here, you'll see they have PyCharm Professional, okay, which is for individual use as well. If you select individual over here, okay, and they have a free version. So if you select web development, so you can see, so they have a free version which you can make use of. So for web development, you can see clearly over here, it's a 30-day free trial, right? So it's paid, and I'm not sure how many of you would want to buy paid IDs for your development purposes, okay, when there are options like Visual Studio Code that are really, really good and are being used in industry wide, right? So yeah, that's why I recommended Visual Studio Code, and I hope this is pretty clear. So now it's time that we begin writing some code in JavaScript. So I hope in Visual Studio Code you have been able to open this folder of your choice, okay? Wherever you want to write the JavaScript programs. So I have this folder open, and beside this folder name, you'll see this icon called new file. So the first file that we are going to create would be an HTML file, okay? So I'm going to call this as index.html. Now, why am I creating an HTML file? It's because we'll be making use of HTML to load JavaScript and execute it into the browser. Yes, we are going to run JavaScript into browser and see the output. Okay, so here you can see this index.html, and also make a note that here in Visual Studio Code, you also see this tag appear, this tag icon, which represents the type of file that you are creating. Okay, now this file is created. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say exclamation. Okay, so the moment you say exclamation, Visual Studio Code has good support for HTML, right? I've been saying this constantly. So it is going to help us generate some boilerplate code. And for that, you have to press exclamation, and you have to press enter. So you'll see some boilerplate code being generated. You can see this. Okay, so I'll just collapse this by clicking on this icon. And here you can customize this. So I'm going to call this title over here as JavaScript course over here, something like that. Okay. And over here I can write in some code. Now this file is not saved. How do you know that? So here you can see this dot appear. If you hover on this, cross will appear, but you can see this white dot appear beside the file name. It means that the file is not saved. Okay, so be sure to save whatever changes you are doing in Visual Studio Code. If you're seeing this icon, it means that it is not saved, and you won't see the changes that you have done into the file. Okay, and you would keep refreshing and seeing why you are not getting the desired output, but actually you have not saved the code. All right, so this happens quite a few times. So you have to just say Control S, and you'll see that I can go away, right? Now, what I would do is within body, I'm going to add h1, okay, and I'm going to say JavaScript course over here, okay, and I'm also going to add console log over here, okay. Now, console log is a JavaScript statement. So how am I going to do that? So I cannot write it in HTML tag, okay. So for that, I will have to make use of special tag called script tag. Okay, so here after body, I'll say script, okay, and here I'll say console.log, and here I'll say hello world, something like this. Okay, so this is JavaScript, and I have saved it. So basically, how you write JavaScript within HTML is with the help of script tags, right? Now, what we need to do is we need to see the output, whether we are able to run this properly. So I'm going to right click over here, and I'm going to say reveal in file explorer. Okay, so this will open file explorer. On Mac, you'll see reveal in finder. So this opens up file explorer. You can see this index.html created. What you can do is you can open this in the browser. So make sure you have a browser, your favorite browser or your preferred browser of your choice, open over here, and the folder also open. And what you can do is you can drag drop this file over here onto the browser. Okay, so what this is going to do is this is going to open up this file over here, and you can see this is a path of the file, and you can see JavaScript course being shown over here. Now, why is it coming over here? It's because you have added this in the header tags. You can right click, say inspect, and you can go to console, and you'll see hello world up here. Right, so this is the console log that we have shown over here. Okay, so I'll just minimize this over here, and what I would do is I would actually have this side-by-side view, okay, which is something that I prefer whenever I am coding in or whenever I am doing web development. Okay, so this side-by-side view is what I'm going to use. And you will also have some good clarity as to what output you're getting and what change we're making and why are you seeing this output. Okay, So whatever change you make, if you add a couple of more exclamation, if you hit save, and if you refresh over here, you'll see the output being reflected. Okay, but be sure to save the file. Okay, it should not be like you have not saved it and you won't see the output. You'll just keep refreshing and you'll say, hey, why am I not getting the output? Okay, also be sure to make use of the exact syntax that I'm writing in over here. You can see console, everything is in small. Log also, everything is in small. If you try to write C caps over here, if I save this and if you refresh, you'll see it's not defined. Okay, this is not defined. That won't work. And it's also telling you where the error is. Okay, so I'm also going to show you how you can read errors over here. You can see reference error, console not defined, and the error is on 12. Okay, so this is line number 12 here, right? And it's the 5th position is what it's telling you. Okay, the 5th position. If I change this to small c, and if I say refresh here, it should show me the output. Okay, also we are adding semicolon in the end because that marks the end of the JavaScript statement. All right, so yeah, that's your first JavaScript program that you have written and you have loaded it with the help of HTML. So I hope this was useful. So let me talk a bit more about JavaScript over here. So here, if you take a look at this particular file, this is an HTML file which has JavaScript in it. All right. Now these things over here are known as tags, and for JavaScript, this is known as statement. So JavaScript does not have something called as tags. Tags are there in HTML, but JavaScript will have something called as statements. And statement is just a single line of code that can be executed. Now also, you'll notice that JavaScript code is written within the script tag. Okay, and we have added this in the end of the file. Now I would like to highlight one thing over here. You can get rid of this from here, and you can also add it at the top within head. That is also possible. If you save this and if you run this over here, okay, if you see it running, you'll see the output is same. Okay, if I try to make any sort of change, okay, like this, and if I refresh, you'll see the output come in like this. Okay, so there is no issue as such, but it's always a good practice to have this script tag in the end, which means that you should load JavaScript in the end after all the HTML elements have been loaded. Now there are reasons for this. Number one reason is to avoid any sort of unknown errors. So JavaScript, like we know, adds behavior to our web pages, which means that it works with the elements defined on the HTML page. Now there is a possibility that the JavaScript might even try to alter the elements depending on the state, right? If you click a button, it might want to show some information, or it might want to do something with the elements on the page. Now, if you add this script in the head over here, within the head tags, the problem is this script might be executed even before all the tags of the HTML are loaded. So there is a possibility that JavaScript might not be able to find the tags that it wants to, and it might throw error. So it might lead to error, and that is the reason the script tag is always recommended to be in the end of the HTML file. And the reason is pretty clear, so that all the HTML tags have been loaded. Okay, this is one reason. Another reason is to speed up the website. So if the script tag is added at the top in the head section, okay, what would happen is if there is a lot of script, right now we have only one line of code, right? So it's fine. But if there is a lot of script that is written, then the script might take a while to execute or load. Okay, and HTML elements below the script or after the head tag would load only once the script has fully loaded, which might lead to slow response time on the web page. And this is not good from the user experience standpoint. And that is why it is always a good practice to load JavaScript at the end of the page so that these issues are avoided. Now, JavaScript programs can also have multiple statements, of course. I can add one more line of code over here and I can say refresh, and you'll see the output over here. All right. So yeah, that's some more information about the JavaScript program. So now let's talk about how can you enhance your development environment. All right. Now what is happening as of now is we have this HTML file. Within this, we are loading JavaScript, and we have this JavaScript code available in the browser. Now what we have done is we have actually opened this HTML file to see the output over here in the browser console, right? Now there are better ways. Now what happens is if you are making any sort of change over here, like for example, I'm adding one more full stop over here. Okay, if I save the file, this change won't be reflected over here. I have to do a refresh to see the change. Okay. Now, if you are constantly doing changes and constantly testing it, this could be a little bit cumbersome. If you're working on large projects, this could irritate, So things can be much more simpler, and there are some good set of tools that you can configure within Visual Studio Code that can make your life as a developer or a programmer easier. Now, let me take you through some steps over here that you can do to enhance your development environment. So here on the left sidebar, here you'll see this option called extensions. Now in Visual Studio Code, you can add or install something called as extensions that can extend the default ability that Visual Studio Code has. Okay, so I do have quite a lot of extensions already installed. Okay, I'm going to talk about the ones that I recommend for JavaScript, HTML, or web development. All right. Now you can see over here, I have this extension for dev containers. Okay, so I work a lot with Docker as well. Okay, so I have this extension installed, but this is not needed for web development. Okay, so I'll just talk about the ones that are relevant. So this first extension that you're seeing, auto rename tag over here. Okay, now if you see this HTML file, it consists of tag. Okay, one is the opening tag, other one is the closing tag. So if you want to like rename the tag, so let's say if this H1, I want this to be H2. So if I do H2 over here, you can see the closing tag was also renamed automatically. How is this being handled? This is being handled because of this extension. So if I disable this over here, okay, and if I come over here, now if I rename it, so let me just collapse this a bit. Okay, if I rename this to H1 over here now, okay, it's still working. I believe the changes were not taken into effect. Okay, but let me like rename this to H2. Okay, so now after restarting extensions, if you see, if I rename this to H2, this is not being renamed. Okay, so if you're working on a large HTML file, and let's say if you rename this tag, then you have to rename the matching tag as well. Otherwise, you're going to get error. So if I refresh this, okay, there's no error that is being thrown. Okay, but the output is not what you would desire. Okay, so probably this might be shown in H2 or H1. Okay, so this is not what you would desire. Ideally, a opening tag should have a closing tag as well. So that is what this auto rename tag helps you. Okay, I realize I have not saved the file, so I'll just save the file and I'll do a refresh. Okay, so this is what this auto rename tag enables you to do. So I have this installed for the convenience over here. Okay, so I've enabled this right now, and if I rename this to H1, I'll just save it. Okay, so that is what this auto rename tag helps you with. Okay, there is description over here that you can go through. Okay, so this is one tag, bracket pair colorization. So what does this extension do? So if you're working on a large file, okay, then you might have like these curly braces to segregate a block of code, right? Now you might want to see the color coding. So this helps you give you the color coding of the opening and the closing pair. You can see over here in the icon itself. So that is what this does. Okay, I have some other extensions like dev container, Django, Docker, some related to Python, Jupyter notebooks. All right. Then there is this another extension which is called as live server. This is also installed onto my system. So you can search for extension over here. Okay, so all these extensions I forgot to mention. If you are liking any of the extension, you can search over here in the market. You can select them and say install. That is it. It's pretty simple. Okay. So live server is an extension that enables a small or a lightweight server onto your development environment. Okay, so by installing this extension, you get this thing over here. You can see this at the bottom, go live, this button. Okay, so if I disable this and if I restart, that button goes away. Okay, if I enable this, you'll see that button appear. So if I say go live, what would happen is this is going to give me a live server. You can see port 5050. So this has given me a lightweight server on 5500. It's not 5050, it's 5500. Okay, this is a port, and if you can run this on your local machine, if you try to access this, then the file that you have will be running on the local server. You can see this is now running on the local server. And now if I try to make any sort of changes over here, okay, so if I add let's say question mark over here, a couple of 4 question marks, okay, and if I'll open the console before saving the file so that you all can see what is happening. Okay, it's failing to load a favicon. If I save this, you'll see that just after saving the changes, you are seeing the changes being reflected live. So it's very helpful. It's really convenient. So you don't have to press the refresh button again and again. It will take care of showing you the output without you having to do a refresh. So it auto reloads the changes that you do. Okay, so it's really helpful, this extension live server. And yeah, I use it all the time. Prettier. So this is a code formatter that will help you format your code. So that is what it does. I have it installed here. So that's it. That's it for HTML and JavaScript code. These are the extensions. I have a lot more other extensions like Tailwind, Python. Okay, so I do all sorts of programming. So you'll find a lot of extensions in my Visual Studio Code, and I keep deleting them, reinstalling them, or installing the new ones, trying out new ones, all that stuff I do. All right. So yeah, this is about the extensions that can help you make your development environment better. So I would recommend you switch over to a live server if you're making use of an HTML file to see your JavaScript code, because it can help you see your changes in real time. So now it's time that we understand how can you write JavaScript in a scalable way. Now what I mean by scalable way is right now what we are doing is we are writing JavaScript within the script tags, right? Now whenever you are working in a real world scenario or in a production grade applications, you won't have JavaScript of 2 lines, right? It would be, the files are really lengthy, like there is a lot of JavaScript involved in some projects. So in that case, it's not good to write your JavaScript in this way. It's best if you could separate the JavaScript code from HTML. So that is what I'm going to show you. So what you can do is, what we are going to do here is I'm going to create a new JavaScript file, and I'm going to call this as index.js. So you can see the moment I typed in .js, you can see the file icon over here. This is JS file and this is an HTML file. So this is a representation by Visual Studio Code that helps you identify which is the file type. Okay. So what I will do is I'll cut these 2 lines of code. I'll move it over here. Okay. And right now, if I save this, okay, you won't see any output. Okay, because there's no JavaScript over here that is written within this HTML file or not even linked over here. So if you're not writing JavaScript in the HTML file, you can actually link it and write it in an external file, which is a .js file, which stands for JavaScript. So what I can do is I can basically take this on the same line and add over here an attribute. So there is an attribute called SRC for the script tag, which enables you to specify the file name. Okay, so I can say index, and you can see the auto suggest over here, index.js. So this is auto suggest from Visual Studio Code, and I can say save. And the moment you say save, you can see over here, hello world, and it's coming in from index.js. And you can actually make changes over here if you wish to, and see the changes being reflected over here. Okay. So yeah, that's about it. Now, one thing I want to mention over here is about live server. So if you want to close the server, you need to click on this button. So that is going to dispose this server. And if you refresh it, then okay, it just won't reload. You can see. And if you want to go live again, you can start it and it will open it up. All right. So yeah, that's how you can separate the JS code from the HTML. Now let's talk about comments. What are comments? So comments are like notes in your code. Now, these are the set of statements that are not executed and are ignored. And they are just as a reference for you. So if you're coming from any other programming language like Java, Python, it's likely that you are aware of this concept of comments and you know what they are. Now in JavaScript, there are two types of comments that are supported. One is a single line comment and other one is a multi-line comment. So I can have 2/ over here and I can say this is a single line comment, something like this. Okay. Now if I save this, okay, there's literally no impact on the output because this is never executed. I can even comment this line of code, and if I save this, that one line is commented out and it is not executed. So yeah, this is how you can make use of single line comment. Also, you can come over here in Visual Studio Code under edit over here. You will see toggle line comment. So this is a shortcut over here. So for the shortcut for me is Control plus /. Okay, since I'm on Windows, so I can keep my cursor on this line and I can say Control and /, and you can see I'm able to toggle between the single line comment. Okay, I can even select this entire block of code and I can say Control and /. Now if you're on Mac or Linux, this shortcut may differ, but I'm just showing you the way as to how you can get the shortcut for yourself. All right. Also, there is something called as block comment, as you can see over here. Now, I told you that this is single line comment, or it is also known as line comment. Now, there is something called as block comment, or also known as multi-line comment. Okay. So you can comment multiple lines of code this way, okay, by having these 2/ on every line. But there would be situations wherein you don't want to go this way. Okay. So that is when you can make use of multi-line comment. So to do multi-line comment, we'll take a look at the screenshot, or sorry, not screenshot, the shortcut. So you can see Shift, Alt and A, or you can even select this option over here. So you can see these two lines of code that I had selected are now into this syntax, which is for multi-line comment, and they won't be executed. So if I save this file, you can see literally no output onto the console. Okay, so this is multi-line comment. Okay, and I can toggle this. So it was Control, Shift and A over here. Oops, I made a mistake. What was the shortcut? So it was Shift, Alt and A. I'm sorry. Okay, so I can select this and I can say Shift, Alt and A onto my system. Oops. Okay, it's not working for me. Shift, Alt and A. It should work ideally. But yeah, I don't know. The shortcut is not working for some reason. Let me try once again. Shift, Alt and A. Okay, it worked. Or probably I was not doing it in the right way on the keyboard. Okay, it worked. And I'll save this. So you can see the lines are back. Okay, so this is single line comment. And if I take this to a new line and if I say something like this over here. Okay, this is multi-line comment. So I'll add this line over here. Okay. So this is multi-line comment. Okay. Now there is one more way of enhancing the way you comment, which is known as doc comments. Okay. So it is also called as documentation comments or doc comments, and it consists of annotations. Okay. Now what happens is normally you would have a lot of code like functions, classes, objects created in the code, and you would want to have description of what sort of parameters anyone using this particular function is supposed to pass and why these parameters are needed and all of that. Okay, so basically with the help of doc comments, you can make use of annotations and specify all this information. So I'll just add a simple example of doc comments over here. Okay, so here you can see we have a function. Okay, if you're not aware of this concept of function methods, don't stress out. But if you're coming from any other programming language, you must be aware of things like functions, methods and all, right? So I'm just using this to show this example. Now here you can see this is doc comment. This is the syntax. Okay, and you can see over here what this function does essentially is it adds two numbers, and I've also specified the parameters. So I'm making use of @param annotation over here. Annotation is something that starts with @. Okay, so that is what annotation is, and I'm specifying that this is a number and the name is A and this is the first number, and again I'm describing the second parameter and then what is the return type of this function. Now if you hover on this, Okay, if you hover on this function, you'll see this documentation is actually being shown. You can see in this pop-up. So anyone trying to make use of this function in some other file, he can see what all you have written or much more information about this particular function. That is what it means. Okay. Now the question is, if you are looking at the syntax, you will be a little bit worried. You will say, hey, I have to add these asterisk marks on every line. So the answer is no. That's auto generated for you. So what you can do is you can have / and you can have 2 times asterisk over here. So if you add 2 times asterisk, the IDE knows that you want to add the doc style comments, and you can actually like add things that you need. Okay, and you can make use of the annotation over here. You can see. Okay, now whenever you press enter, a new asterisk is added. Okay, so you don't have to worry about adding it on every line. Okay, so that's the reason why people use ID. That's another reason. Okay, you can do all of this that we are doing in Notepad as well, but you won't get access to all of these features. You know, these suggestions and auto generation of asterisks and all of that won't happen in Notepad, and that is why people make use of IDs. Okay, so another use case of documenting code this way is tomorrow if you want to generate an API documentation. So let's say you have written an API in JavaScript or some library in JavaScript, and you want to generate a documentation for the same. So you can make use of tools available. There are external tools, like one tool is JSDoc 3. Okay, and you can make use of that, and you can generate the documentation, and the documentation is generated using this. So if you have added this around like all the functions and all the APIs, whatever you have defined, it is going to give you the documentation which you can share with your front-end developers or whoever you want to share it with. Okay. Now, I would also ask you, if you're interested to know more about this style of documenting things, I would request you to refer to this website, jsdoc.app. Okay. And this is standard, essentially, I would say, or a style to document your JavaScript code. And here, if you see, you will see a list of multiple annotations or multiple tags over here. You can see we were making use of param, which you should see somewhere over here. Okay, you can see param. All right, and there are lots of things that you can make use of. If you click on them, you'll have access to more details as to how it can be used. Okay, and yeah, this is what it is. You can click over here on the right hand side top, and you can head over to their GitHub repository as well to know more. Okay, so yeah, this is about JSDoc that you can explore more if you're interested in this. Okay, but yeah, this is about comments, and I'll get rid of this over here for now. All right, so I hope you have been able to follow along, and I hope this was useful. Hey, what's up everyone? So let me showcase how you can make use of Node.js to run your JavaScript code. So far, what we have been doing is we have been running our JavaScript right from the browser itself. And here I'm making use of VS Code with live server extension. And I actually don't need extension except for live reloads. But yeah, live reloads just makes my life convenient, you know, as a developer. You can even open this HTML file directly into the browser and see the output in the console. But you'll have to refresh for every change you make every time, okay, which is not convenient in my opinion. So what's Node.js? Node.js provides a runtime environment for JavaScript. So if you just Google Node.js, you will come over, or you'll see this link, nodejs.org, which is the link of the official website. Now, how Node.js came into picture? So what happened is, one engineer named Ryan Dahl, what he did is he took the V8 engine of Google that enables JavaScript to run in Google Chrome. So in Google Chrome, you see JavaScript is being executed. How it's being executed? With the help of V8 engine. So Ryan just took this V8 engine and he created Node.js. So Node.js essentially is this V8 engine that enables you to run JavaScript anywhere. All right. Now to get this or to run Node.js without the help of, not Node.js. So if you want to run JavaScript without the help of browsers, you need to install Node.js onto your system, right? And you can simply come over to this website. You can either go to download, or you will see this download link here on the home page. Okay, just hit this download button and it will get downloaded onto your system. Or alternatively, you can go to download and you can select the version. Be sure to select the latest one, which operating system you are on. Okay, and just get it onto your system. So you can even install it using these command line utilities. All right, or you can have a pre-built installer as well. Okay, so there are different installation options. I would recommend the installer. You should make use of installer. So just download it and run it. So it's pretty simple to install. It's just like any other software that you would normally install on your system. All right. Now, once you're done installing, I'm not going to show you the installation steps. It's pretty standard. So just head over to terminal or any terminal outside Visual Studio Code. If you wish to prefer your native operating system terminal, you can do that as well. But since I'm making use of Visual Studio Code, it has an inbuilt terminal functionality, okay, which will help me open up this terminal over here. Okay. Now in the terminal, you can run this command node-v, which is going to actually print in the version of Node that you have onto your system. So it's very likely that you might see a different version number being printed over here depending on when you're watching this video. But if you have any version number being printed, that's completely fine. Okay, as long as it is getting printed. Okay, it should get printed. Otherwise, there is some problem with the Node.js installation onto your system. Either it was not installed properly or it's not installed at all. Okay, so before installation or before downloading this, I would also recommend you should run this command and check whether Node exists onto your system, right? So it exists onto my system. I know that I had installed early on. Now, once Node exists, what I would do is I'll clear this. I'll say np or I'll say node over here. Okay, so this is a command and I would pass in the file name for JavaScript file. Okay, this index.js. But before running this command, be sure that you are in the right directory. So I'll check my directory over here. So right now I'm in this directory and this is a directory where my JavaScript file also resides. Okay, so I'm going to say node over here and I'm going to say index.js. And if I say enter, you'll see the output come in over here. Okay, so with this approach, you can make use of terminal and you don't need the browser console over here. Okay, and you don't even need the live server, right? So basically you write some code over here, which is plain JavaScript, and you see it being executed onto the console like this. Okay, there's no need of any HTML file, any live server, or neither the browser as well. Okay, because you're now executing JavaScript outside the browser. I explained what Node.js is and how it came into picture. Okay, so you're making use of Node.js over here. But I just wish to show this methodology to you all. Okay, I won't be personally using this. Okay, because I want to show you how JavaScript works with HTML. So we'll stick to this method. But yeah, I wished that you should know the other methods as well, and that's why I decided to show it to you. All right. I hope you have been able to follow along, and I hope this was useful. Let us talk about DOM manipulation. Now, what do you mean by DOM manipulation? Now, if you're talking about JavaScript, you must have heard about this term called DOM. Now, DOM stands for Document Object Model. Now, whenever you display a web page in the browser, it is converted into a structure, right, that the web page displays. And this structure is what is known as Document Object Model or DOM. Right? Now, JavaScript can interact with this DOM and can even alter it. That is the power of JavaScript. When we say JavaScript add behaviors into the web pages, this is the ability that it brings to the table. So it can interact with the DOM and it can even alter it. Now, I'm just going to show you some capabilities on how it can alter things from JavaScript itself. Okay. So here we have this title, JavaScript course. Okay. Over here, you're seeing H1 JavaScript course. So what I will do is I will add probably a p tag over here. Okay, let's say it's a p tag. I won't add anything. I'll add an ID. Okay, and I'll say this is name over here. Okay, so I've added a p tag and I've given it an attribute called ID which has a value of name. Okay. Now, why have I given it ID? Because we want to access this p tag from JavaScript, and to access any tag from HTML, it should be picked up by JavaScript using an identifier, and ID is that unique identifier. So if you hover on this, you'll see defines a unique identifier which must be unique in the whole document. So this is the entire document, and this should be unique for JavaScript to pick it up in the right way. Okay. Now over here, what I'm going to do is so if you, first of all, if you refresh this, you're seeing like there is no output over here because we have literally not added anything, right? This is an empty p tag. So here I can say document dot get element by ID. Okay. So we are saying from the document, get this element by ID. Now, which element are we asking for? Okay. So we are asking for name. That is the name of our element over here. Okay. Now using from here, I can access its property. So I can say inner text is equal to, I can add in hello over here, something like this. Okay. And I'll add a semicolon and I'll save this. Now you'll see hello appear over here. Okay. So this hello is being added into the HTML document or into the HTML code with the help of JavaScript. And you can see this is the line of code that does that. Okay. And it's pretty straightforward as well. We are saying document. Okay. From the document, get this element by ID, which is the element. So you have to enter name over here. Okay. And you can see over here, this get element by ID returns a reference to the first object with the specified value of the ID attribute. That is what it does. And then we are saying inner text. Okay. So we are modifying the inner text over here, and we are adding hello over there. Okay. So that is what we are doing. All right. Now I'll show you a few more examples. So what I will do is here. So within this HTML, what I can do is I can come over here. I have this p tag. I can change this p tag to h1. Okay. So that it's better visible. Okay. The size is bigger. Now over here, what I will do is it is displaying hello over here. Okay. I can again say document dot get element by ID. Okay. I'll get this element, which is name over here. Okay. And then I can say dot on click, or I can say dot inner text. Okay. Or one second, let me also add a button over here. Okay. I missed adding button. So I'll add a button over here. So what we are going to do is, what I'm trying to showcase is on click of this button, I'm going to change the text. Okay. So change text button. Okay. And this is just a button with the text change over here. You can see, I'll just minimize this a bit. Okay. So instead of name, I'll get change. So what was the ID? It is change text button. I'll just give it over here. Okay. And then over here, I'm going to say dot on click. So on click of this button, okay, you can see this on click over here. On click of this button, what I need to do is I'll have a function. Okay, this is a function, and the function state. Oops. Okay, so I cleared that out, and over here within a pair of curly braces, okay, I'm going to tell what should happen on the click of this button. Okay, so on the click of this button, this text should change. So I'm going to copy this line over here because this is the line that helps us change the text. And I can say, hello. I can say hello again over here, something like this. Okay, so I hope this is making sense what we are trying to do over here. All right, we are actually saying document.getElement by ID. We are getting this element. This is a button. And on click of this button, we are saying execute this function. What are functions? In case if you're not aware, functions are nothing but block of code that are designed to do a particular task. And the task that we are trying to do over here is just change the text of this particular element over here. And this particular element is a h1 tag. Okay. So we are getting that h1 tag and we are changing the inner text to hello again. I'll end this with a semicolon. I'll save this. And now if you say change, you'll see hello again. Okay. So this is the power of JavaScript. Okay. You can see how powerful it is. We've just added an on-click listener, and with the help of a function, we are actually able to update the name, or essentially I should say we are just not updating the name. We are actually altering an pre-existing element or a tag on the page. Okay, so that's the power of JavaScript here that you can sense. So it's just not about changing the text, but you can even update the styles on the fly. Okay, and to demonstrate that, let's say if I click on change, I wish to change the background color of an element to something else. I can even do that with JavaScript. So I'll just duplicate this line over here, and over here, let's say I want to change the style of this particular element to that of red, let's say, for example. So I can say, after getting this particular element, instead of inner text, I can say style dot, I can say background. You can see there are so many properties that you have access to. Okay, you also have access to text color over here. Okay, not text color, sorry about that. It's just the color. Okay, so we're talking about background color. So I'll just get the background color over here, and here I can say red, and I'll save this. Now on click of change, you'll see the text also changed and the background color is now red. Okay, if you want, you can even change the color, the text color, to that of white. Okay, so I can simply duplicate this line and I can say color can be white. Okay, and you can say over here, right? So white, because on red, black was not looking that good to me. Okay, my preference, but this is something that is possible with JavaScript. You can see how it can add a lot of behavior into HTML elements, and a static HTML page, it now has behaviors and things that are updating dynamically on the events that you're performing onto the web page. Okay, so I hope you have been able to follow along, and I hope this was useful.